So in the last class, we discussed about the course details, how the course will be work, all these things we discussed. So now we'll slowly jump into the technical discussion, guys. Okay. So let's discuss the SQL Server. Okay. What is SQL Server and all, like we discussed in the morning. So can anyone tell me what is SQL Server, guys?
Sir, 1 second. Is this a continuation of a morning session
Yes,
or is it
yes, yes. It's
new?
a continuation of morning session.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah,
Because
it's
I
a
was not
continuation.
there in morning. What did we
Yeah.
discuss? If you can just, in short, if you can
See,
explain.
I just discussed about SQL Server DBA activities. Okay. And what is SQL Server, where we are going to use the software, how we are going to use the software, what is an application, what is three-tier architecture, okay, how these things and all will work in the organization, how the course overview, like how many days it will take, like how the recordings, how the practice, what kind of system requirements you should have,
Mhm.
okay. And yeah, mainly what are the DBAs of what are the tasks, DBA tasks, DBA activities, roles and responsibilities of the DBA. So all these
Mhm.
things in the morning session.
So is it recorded, right?
Yes, it's recorded and it will be available in our YouTube channel by tomorrow morning. Okay.
Okay, fine.
Yeah,
Thanks.
yeah, yeah. Thank you. Right. Okay. Okay. So today, let's discuss about the SQL Server. Like we'll slowly jump into the SQL Server, guys. So can anyone tell me what is meant by SQL Server? In the morning we just discussed it, right? What is meant by SQL Server? Can anyone tell me?
SQL is a database management system where we save data,
Yes,
we can process data and retrieve the data.
yes. Okay. So SQL Server is an RDBMS system, like a relational database management system. So using this, we can store the data, we can process the data, and we can retrieve the data. Right. Okay. So what is meant by data, guys? So every time we are saying data, 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 what is meant by data? What is data? Can anyone tell me what is data?
Information.
Is
Collection
data
of
and information both are same? Is data
a
and information?
structured format is called as information.
Okay.
Trade information,
Mm-hmm.
businesses, business data.
This is data.
Yes. Okay. So you're correct, guys. So data is nothing but it is a unstructured things, guys. Unstructured things. There will be no structure and all. It's a kind of raw data. Okay. It's a kind of raw data. So if you see here, 10,000, you don't know what is this 10,000. And Mahesh, you don't know what is this. You know this Mahesh is a name and all. IT, not sure what exactly it is. KR maybe say apartment, something like that kind of address. But what are these details? Where we can use these details? This is just raw data, guys. This is just raw data. By using this raw data, you cannot come to a conclusion. Okay, so you don't know what is the context and all. What is this 10,000? What is this IT? We don't know. We might can understand some of the values, but not all. That means there is no meaning for this raw data. That means there will be no meaning for this raw data. So if I process this data, okay, so if I'm able to process this data, okay, so how can I process this data? Using a database software. So the processed data you can call it as, okay, the processed data you can call it as information, guys. The processed data you can call it as information. So raw data is just, there is no meaning for raw data. It's kind of raw. 1 minute. Yeah. So raw data is nothing but like there will be no meaning generally. Okay. There will be no meaning for raw data and all. So that is just values, collection of values. We can say raw data is nothing but collection of values. But if I process this data, if we are able to process this data, this will be converted into information. So processing is nothing but like adding context to the existing data, guys. Processing is nothing but adding context. Okay, earlier you don't know. If I just open this file, you don't know what is 10,000 and what is IT. Now I processed this data. I just added some context to this particular data. So I just allocated one employee ID, and then I just allocated employee name for Mahesh, and then I just allocated a department like IT department, and then that is the address. Whatever you can see, ABC Apartments KRpuram is like an address, and the 10,000 whatever you can see, that is salary. So the processed data is called an information. So what is meant by processing, guys? Processing can be anything. Processing can be anything, guys. So to give value to the data, to make the data as a meaningful, we are going to process the data by just adding some attributes. Attributes is kind of a context, guys. But we are just adding a context to the existing one. So I just allocated one record. I just allocated the name as employee name as Mahesh, and then department is IT, address is like ABC Apartments, KRpuram, and then salary is 10,000. So now if I just added some attributes, then this data became information, guys. So these kind of things we can achieve with the help of SQL Server, guys. Okay, we can process the raw data and we can convert it into information, guys, using SQL Server and all. So SQL Server, as discussed, it's an RDBMS software. What is meant by RDBMS, guys? What is RDBMS generally? Relational Database Management System. Okay, so relational database management system, right? Where is the notepad? Yeah, this one. Right, okay, RDBMS. So when this SQL Server invented, guys, when this SQL Server is invented, can anyone tell me when this was invented?
I think 1988 something.
Close it to, okay, 1985, 86. Actually, Sybase, in the morning we discussed about this. Sybase invented the logic of RDBMS, like SQL Server, guys. Actually, initially, this is the Sybase product. SQL Server is the Sybase product initially. Later, what it did is like Microsoft bought the coding language, the logic of this particular Sybase, and then it just added its own flavors. Then it became Microsoft SQL Server DB, Microsoft SQL Server, guys. Okay. Initially, Microsoft took the logic from the Sybase. It just take over the particular logic from the Sybase, and then it just converted into it, just added its own flavors, and then what Microsoft did is like Microsoft introduced it as a Microsoft SQL Server product, right? So Microsoft SQL Server, this was initially invented by Sybase, but later it was developed by Microsoft, guys. Later it was developed by Microsoft. So who is the vendor of the SQL Server, guys? Who is the vendor? Microsoft.
Microsoft
is the vendor of the SQL Server. Then late 1980 something like that, 85, 86 something like that, they developed, Sybase is developed. Then 1987, 8 something around like that, Microsoft took over this. And then from 1990s, 91, 92, 93, they just added, they did some, Microsoft did some R&D, what kind of features we can add it and all. Then slowly they just tried in introducing this database to the market in the year of 1997 onwards. The first commercial product is SQL Server 2000, guys. SQL Server 2000, which was introduced in the year of 2000. Which was introduced in the year of 2000, guys. So generally, I'll tell you the versions. Versions are very important in the SQL Server. So we have different versions in the SQL Server. We have SQL Server 2000. Yes, please.
Sorry, actually, last couple of videos, in that you have the versions. SQL Server was invented on 7.
No. See. Actually, that's why I told you. Okay, see, SQL Server is invented by Sybase in 1985, 86 like that. Okay, but later they developed, Microsoft developed, and then they introduced, they did some R&D, and they introduced in 97. Okay, they introduced SQL Server 97 to public. Before also it was there, but they introduced 97 to public, but 97 is not so famous version. Then 2000 onwards, it was so famous. SQL Server 2000 turned the database industry, guys. It is a what I can say. Till then, database means like kind of a queries, commands, and all. But what Microsoft did is like it just added a GUI. Till then, there is no GUI in the database market. Graphical user interface. So what Microsoft 97 also it was introduced to the market, but 97 was not so famous. Then Microsoft what it did is like it just added GUI. So it just added one tool called Query Analyzer. Okay, what is the tool, guys? Query Analyzer. We can call this as a SSMS, Management Studio. Earlier in the SQL Server 2000, we don't have SSMS. I'll tell you what is SSMS and all. That's a tool to connect to the SQL Server. Okay, so the 2000 SQL Server 2000, whatever version is there, the 2000 turns the whole database industry, guys. So with the help of SQL Server 2000, Microsoft almost it occupies the whole database industry by that time in the year of 2000. So 2000 version is very famous, guys. So we'll discuss all these things. Okay, so when we are discussing versions, we'll discuss all these things. Okay. So that's how Microsoft came into the picture, and that's how SQL Server came into the picture, guys. So here let's discuss about RDBMS. Okay, so what is RDBMS, guys? So now we are storing data generally in any database software. Generally we are going to store the data in the form of tables, guys. Okay, now we are storing, imagine now we are storing the data in the databases. So before databases, where we use it to store the data, guys? Before databases, where we use it to store the data? Any
In
idea?
table.
Tables. Before tables,
RAM.
Rows
RAM.
and column.
See, no. That is going to be a different discussion. No, that's okay. Rows and columns.
Floppies.
Nothing but. So I'm
So we
asking.
used to run
Yes.
data.
In what format we use it to store the data? I'm asking. Like before
Floppies, hard
databases,
disks.
we use it to have spreadsheets. Before spreadsheets, we use it to have flat files. Before flat files, we use it to store the data in the what we can say, right, papers and all. Now also we are storing, but papers, before papers, we used to store the data on leaves. Before that, we used to store the data on stones. So there are this is how it was converted, guys. So on a single day, we don't have database, guys. Okay. So like earlier, we used to store the data on the stones, in the stone age, then we used to use leaves and all to store the data. Then papers we invented, even in between we used clothes also to store the data. Then papers invented, then slowly machines are invented. Then people are used to store the data in the flat files like notepad kind of thing. Then Excel sheets. Excel sheet is also a good database, guys. Excel sheet, whatever we are discussing, like we can use Excel sheet to store the data. We can use Excel sheet to process the data. We can use Excel sheet to retrieve the data. That is also a database software, guys. Excel sheet is also a database software, Microsoft Excel. But why we are not using Excel sheet to store the data? Why? Because the requirements are changing, guys. Earlier, we used to use 256 KB storage phone. Then it became 256 MB. Then it became 512 MB phone. Then it became 1 GB phone. Then became 8 GB phone. Then 16 GB, 32 GB, 64 GB. Now 128 GB is also not enough for us, right? We have iPhones with 256 GB. iPhones with 512 GB phones are there. The amount of the data that you are processing daily is increasing. So that's why Excel is also a database, but we cannot, as per our requirements, the huge data, we cannot manage, the Excel sheet cannot manage the application requirements. So we have these databases and all. Databases can manage the load, guys. So these are the modes, like the storage areas, how you are going to store the data. But in what format you are storing the data, that is also important, right? RDBMS is kind of a format. RDBMS is nothing but relational database management system, guys. What is meant by RDBMS? It's nothing but relational database management system. So before RDBMS, we have DBMS. What is that, guys? Before RDBMS, we have DBMS, which is database management system. Okay, which is database management system. Means what? How you are storing the data, how you are storing the data, in what format you are storing the data, in what format you are storing the data, that comes under your DBS system, guys, database management system. Before DBS, we have a lot of other models. Like no one will ask all these questions, guys. Just the basics, just very, very basics. That's it. Just very basics and all. So before DBMS, we have like tree model, we have like different models and all. So we use it to store the data in different ways and all to retrieve. But no model is suitable to retrieve the data quickly, guys. Okay, so but the DBMS model and RDBMS model will help us to process the data quickly. Large amounts of data we can process using these DBMS systems and RDBMS systems. And like in these methods, how we are going to store the data, guys? We are going to store the data in the form of tables. Okay, in the form of tables, guys. DBMS actually, we use it to store the data in the form of tables. Then what happened is later, okay, Professor E.F. Codd, who is that, guys? Professor E.F. Codd. He is the father of RDBMS. Father of RDBMS. So generally, imagine we don't have RDBMS, guys. Imagine we don't have RDBMS model to store the data. Again, RDBMS is nothing but in what format you are storing the data. Why? Because you have to manage terabytes of data, right? So it's very important. Like storing is not only important, guys, retrieving is also important. So in what way we can retrieve quickly? Okay, so this DBMS and RDBMS, guys, okay, these two models will help us to retrieve the data quickly and to process the data quickly. So initially, we use it to store the data in the form of DBMS model, guys, okay? So if you go to this DBMS model, generally DBMS means same. The data will be stored in the tables, okay? So tables means, you know, right? Table is nothing but collection of records, we can say, or collection of rows and columns, we can say. So a lot of definitions are there, lot of related data entries, we can say. So for example, now, if I want to create a student table, guys, I just want to create a students table. So now tell me roughly, just tell me what kind of columns I can include to create a student table, guys. Just roughly, you tell me what kind of columns we can include, guys.
Student name,
Serial number, name,
student ID, serial number, yeah. Student address, roll number.
Yes, okay. So generally we'll give SID, student ID, okay. And then we'll give student name, we'll give phone number, and we'll give email ID if anything, if any
age,
age will give, and we are going to give DOB, and we are going to give address, right? Parents phone number, parent name, father name, and mother name,
which year of study.
mother name, okay, and year of study, right? So like this we can track lot of things, guys, okay, year of study. So lot of things we can track, and fee payment, okay, fee and all, which is very important. So we can track lot of details, like marks also we can track, grade we can track, okay, grade. So if you go to marks, again in each subject how many marks he got, like in maths, science, social, okay, how many marks he got, like that we can track like anything, whatever details we want. If we are keep on adding, what will happen, guys? The table size is increasing, right? The number of columns are increasing, right? But when you are pulling the data, you have to pull all the details of the student, guys. So generally, what is the difference between DBMS and RDBMS? In both the models, we use it to store the data in the form of tables only. But in the DBMS, we use it to store the data in the like in kind of like this big tables, guys. We use it to store all the data in a single table. So what is the problem if you are pulling, if you are storing the whole data in a single table, while retrieving it will be slow, guys. It will be slow and also Later, what EF card did is, okay, whatever you are doing, whatever we are doing currently till now, that's fine. You are storing the data in the form of tables. That's good. But let's do in this way. So let's store the data in the form of small tables and create a relationship between the tables. That is called a relational model, relational database management system. So between DBMS and RDBMS, what is the difference, guys? Only R is difference. What is that R? R is nothing but relational. So now the same thing we can store like this also: student ID, student name, student phone number, email ID, age, something like this I'll store in one table. Again, marks, I'll create one more table, again student ID. Okay, marks like science, we can add like languages. Okay, and we can add like science, social, maths, whatever. Okay, maths. So like this we can create one more table. And fee payments, like again student ID, and again we can just add first term, second term, third term, like whatever it is there, we can add the terms also. So like this, if you create tables like small tables and all with a single common column, see here also student ID is there, here also student ID is there, here also student ID is there. So there is a common column between all these tables. By using this common column, we can differentiate the data. We can create a relationship between the tables. So that is called RDBMS. Again, in any RDBMS technology, like not only SQL Server, guys, Oracle is also RDBMS. Lot of RDBMS database softwares are there. In any RDBMS technology, data is storing in the form of tables, guys. In any RDBMS technology, data is storing in the form of tables only. Even though that is SQL Server, data is storing in the form of tables. Even though that is Oracle, data is storing in the form of tables only, guys. Okay, so but there will be a relationship between. So RDBMS is a common model that will be used by most of the database softwares, guys. As per this RDBMS model, we can store the data in the form of tables and we can create a relationship between the tables. So in the first method, DBMS method, security is also difficult and loading is also difficult. So you might get performance issues and all. If you create small tables and if you create a relationship between these tables using a common column, so we can just give the permissions to this. See, for example, fee fee column, fee table. I don't want to give access to everyone. I can just give limited access so that I can my security will be increased, guys. Okay, I can maintain more secure environment and all. So this is like this RDBMS is used in many ways, and there are a lot of advantages are there with the RDBMS. So later, what they did is like they tried introducing RDBMS software. I mean, like RDBMS model. So RDBMS is nothing but relational database management system. In this model, will store the data in the form of tables and will create a relationship between the tables with a common column. That is the RDBMS model, guys. Yes, Jobby?
For the question SID, I can see that 3 SID and it pointed to different tables. So what does that mean actually?
See, very simple.
Same SID.
See, same SID. Why? Because, say, for example, now in this SID is nothing but student ID, right? So, for example, now you want to track the marks. Again, you don't want to include, if you have one common column, okay, already you have a complete table. Okay, what is meant by SID? Student ID. This student ID is already attached with S name, student name. Okay, so again, instead of adding one more column student name, instead of again adding one more column student name, I can simply add SID. For my SID, already one name is attached, right? So why unnecessarily I have to add name again? Got my point, Joby? I can
Yes, yes,
still
yes.
add S name. I can still add student name here. But what is the use? Already it was attached with SID, right? Student ID is already there. So unnecessarily why I'll add extra column? So that's why using a common column only, we can create a relationship. Otherwise, imagine if there is no SID, then how would you know these these languages, whose marks are these? How would you know? How would you identify? At least I have to add S name, right? Then you will ask why S name you are introducing in all the tables. So one common column should be there. That column will act as it will create a relationship between the tables, guys. Okay, that's why SID should be there, SID or whatever it is, but one common column we are going to use. Right? Clear,
Sir,
Joby?
can you again explain what is the difference between DBMS and RDBMS?
There is no big difference. In DBMS, the data will be stored in the big tables, like the whole data you'll store it in a single table, guys. What is the problem if you're storing the whole data in a single table while retrieving, while loading, while processing? Okay, it will take time. And security also, it's difficult to provide security on the whole table. In the single table, I can see how much he paid, I can see how much marks he got, I can see the whole data, right? But if I create a small tables like this, okay, I can maintain extra security. So fee tables, whatever, imagine this is a fee table, guys. I don't give permissions to others to see the fee table. In the same way, employee table, imagine employee table. I don't want to see the salaries of other employees, so I'll just create a salary table separately. So that what will happen? We can give extra security, and here we are creating a small tables, right? So retrieving is easy, loading is easy, processing is easy. So the only difference between DBMS and RDBMS, in the DBMS, there will be no relationship between the tables. In the RDBMS, we can create a relationship between the tables using one common column.
You mean to say, Sharmak, that means in DBMS, we can create large tables, but in RDBMS, we
No,
can
I am
create
not saying, I am
No.
not, that is not the meaning of this. Okay, in the RDBMS also we can create large tables. Okay, so in the organization, RDBMS will create large tables, but the relationship in the DBMS, there will be no relationship with other tables, but in the RDBMS, we can create a relationship with other tables. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Any other questions, guys? Right. So that's how generally we are going to manage the data. Forget about it as of now. See, these things and all, they don't ask in the interview, just basics, little basics we are adding, right? So as discussed, how the data will be stored in the database, guys, in the RDBMS, how the data will be stored in the form of tables, right? In the form of tables. So what is meant by table? What is meant by table? What is meant by
Collection
table?
Collection of rows
information.
and column.
Correct. Table is nothing but collection of rows and columns, or collection of related data entries. Okay, or collection of records, we can say. Okay, so what is a table? The data in an RDBMS is stored in database objects. Generally in SQL Server, we'll call everything as an object, guys. Object. So your databases also will be objects, tables also will be objects, schemas also will be objects and all. So in an RDBMS software, the data will be stored in the database objects. The basics, yes, any questions? Any questions, guys? Praveen, if you don't have questions, please be muted. If you have questions, you can unmute and you can ask, okay? Right. So the data in the RDBMS will be stored in the tables in the form of tables, guys. Table is nothing but this table is basically a collection of related data entries, and it consists of numerous columns and rows. Okay. So the table is the most common and simplest form of data storage in a relational database. So if you see, this is the example, guys. So as discussed, the horizontal entity is called one record, guys. Okay, so the horizontal entity is called a record. The horizontal entity is called a record, guys. Okay, and the vertical entity, we'll call this as a record or row. we'll call this as a record or row. Row or record, both are same, guys. The horizontal entity, okay, is called as record or row, guys. Okay, and the vertical entity you can see here, right? The vertical entity is called column or column or column or field, guys. Column or field. Okay, so column or field both are same. Right, guys? Column and field both are same, and row or record both are same, guys. The horizontal entity generally will call it as a record, guys. The horizontal entity generally will call it as a record, whereas the vertical entity will call it as a column, guys. Column or field both are same only. So if you see here, I can see there are different records, like 7 records are there. These are the columns. ID is one column, name is one column, age is one column, address is one column, salary is one column. Like this, you can see different columns and all, guys. Okay. So one vertical entity is called one column. Like how many columns we have in this table? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 columns are there, guys. So in this table, I have 5 columns and 7 records are there. Okay, if you see here, yes, Ahmad, tell me.
Yeah, actually, I know that. Is it for Azure DBA classes? Actually, I joined just a new.
No,
So actually,
this
I
is
do
not
not have.
Azure. This is not Azure. This is SQL DBA only. After this, we'll start Azure.
But it's a basic things. I
Correct.
you teaching this kind of things. Actually, just I'm asking.
Yes, yes, basic only. Today only it was started. So we are going with the basics.
Okay, I think so. Those are the freshers only, no? I think so. Those are things.
It's
It's not
not,
much more.
it's not like that. Suddenly, if I jump into SQL Server and this is how we'll install SQL Server, what you can understand? What you can understand, Ahmad? Tell me.
Okay, is there any SQL Azure classes?
Not now, we'll start. It is going to start from next week onwards. Azure new batch is going to start from next week.
Okay, okay. Next week you will start.
Yes, yes, next week I will start. You can
Okay,
just, you have
okay.
my WhatsApp number, right?
Yeah, I have.
Just ping me in the WhatsApp. We'll give you the
Okay,
details.
thanks.
So this is
Okay.
a SQL DBA, initially like on-prem SQL DBA. Okay, so we'll start with the very basics onwards and then we'll slowly go into the subject. Okay, so initially I don't discuss SQL Server installation and all. Slowly we'll discuss what is table. We should know, right? See, you should know ABCD to write the words, sentences and all. These are the ABCD kind of.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are
And
things for freshers.
yes,
So,
yes,
yeah.
yes. It's not like a fresher stuff and all, but we should learn from very beginning, right? So that's why we are discussing.
Yeah, same kind of things, not an issue. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
Amanda.
thanks.
Thank you. Yeah. Right. Okay. Field, every table is broken up into a smaller entities and like columns. Just now we discussed, right? Field is nothing but a column, guys. Column and field both are same. A field is a column in a table that is designed to maintain a specific information. Guys, if you see, if you just understand this column, can you get a complete information? In the field or column, can you get a complete information about any record, guys? No. Field will help you for a specific information. In the address column, you can see only address related data. In the name column, you can see only name related data. But a record will give you a complete meaning, guys. Record will have a complete information like name, ID, age, address, salary. So a record will have complete details, whereas column will have complete details about the specific columns, particular column, guys. Don't have complete information. Column will have a base, not basic. Column will have information about the particular row, and to particular column, guys. But whereas a record will have complete information for the particular row, guys. Using that particular row, you can have complete information, guys. So that is the difference between row and records, guys. That is the difference between row and columns. Okay. So if you see here field and all, okay, and row. Okay, what is the record, guys? A record is also called as a row of data. each individual entry that exists in a table. For example, like these are 7 records. If you see here, we have 7 records in this particular table. And if you see here, customer, like it was employee table, following is a single row of data or record in the customers tables, guys. Okay, if you see here, this is one record. Okay, one Ramesh, 32, and location and his salary. So you can see this as a record. The horizontal entity, you can call it as a record, guys. Okay, so all these things will be discussed later, right? So if you see here, column. A column is a vertical entity in a table that contains all information associated with a specific field. Column contains all information to a specific field, guys. Address means you can see all employees' address, guys. Complete information about a particular field. So for example, a column is a customer table is address, which represent the location description and would be shown as below like this. You can see this is a column, guys. Column or field, both are same. Row and record, both are same, guys. Okay, this is how generally the data will be stored in the RDBMS software, guys. Okay, this is how generally the data will be stored in the RDBMS software. Any questions, any doubts, guys? Right. So let's discuss this, guys. What is SQL? SQL Server, like we are discussing SQL Server, right? What is SQL, guys? What is meant by SQL? SQL. What is SQL, guys? What is SQL?
Structured query language.
language.
Correct. Very good, guys. Okay. SQL is nothing but a structured query language.
Yes, structured query language that communicate with the database management system
Very
to
good.
retrieve, restore the
Yes.
data and manipulate the data.
Correct. See, like we both are communicating, or we are all communicating in English language. Why? Because we are all comfortable in English language. Okay. So we are all communicating. We are all using one common language called English language. In the same way, if I want to talk to the database, I should have one language. If I want to talk to the database, if you want to see all the records in the table, or you want to insert some records in the table, you want to insert some records in the table, or you want to delete some records in the table, or you want to do some changes in the table. So how the database knows what kind of instructions you are giving, what kind of requirements you have? Okay, so for that we need one language. Okay, so what language database can? Yes.
Is binary language and structured query language both are same,
No.
or is it different?
No, binary is different, SQL is different.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so like SQL is a common language, not only MS SQL, guys. Most of the softwares like Oracle also will use SQL. I'll tell you. So SQL is a common language which will help you to communicate with the databases. Database can understand SQL language, guys. So SQL is a language, structured query language. Using this language, we can communicate with the database software. Okay, so like you know, right? Like we have Sanskrit language. Based on the Sanskrit language, we have a lot of languages are there. Around 3,000 languages are there in India, right? So based on the Sanskrit language, like we have Hindi and we have local languages. Okay, in the same way, SQL is also kind of a main language, guys. Okay, SQL is also kind of a main language. So using this main language, we have different languages like T-SQL. If you are using SQL language in the Microsoft SQL Server, that is called T-SQL, guys, MS SQL Server. If the same language you are using in the Oracle, that is called as PLSQL, guys, PLSQL. Like from the Sanskrit, we have Hindi, and then we have a lot of languages are there, right? Like with the modifications, you can see. Okay, if you compare, you can see the modifications. So in the same way, SQL is the common language. Based on this language, Microsoft, it just invented its own language to handle Microsoft SQL Server databases. So if you want to communicate with the Microsoft SQL Server databases, you should need T-SQL language. What is T, guys? Transact SQL language. T is nothing but transact SQL language. T is nothing but a transact SQL language, guys. In the same way, Oracle are going to use PLSQL, guys. PLSQL. So the same SQL language, but the select operations, select queries, insert queries, update queries. Okay, we are going to use different queries, guys. We are going to use different commands. So all these commands, like, to database can understand these commands. What is meant by select? What is meant by insert? What is meant by update? If you want to pull the data from the database, you cannot say, hey, database, please give me the data, or you please show me the data. There is a format, guys. Select star from table name. This is a query we have to use. So that language you are using, right? Select star from table name. That is your SQL language. So MS SQL took this SQL language and it just added its own modifications, changes and all, and just it is using its own SQL language that is called T-SQL language. In the same way, Oracle also took the same SQL language and it just added some changes and it just did some modifications and all, and it is using PLSQL. So if you are communicating with the Oracle, you should use PLSQL. If you want to communicate with SQL Server, Microsoft SQL Server, you should use T-SQL, guys. So generally, SQL DBA, okay, SQL DBA, again, you have to understand these things, guys. SQL DBA is different, development is different, guys. Okay, SQL DBA is different, development is different. DBA is going to maintain the databases, like maintenance activities, like installations, configurations, backups, restores, permissions, automation, managing HADR, high availability and disaster recovery. These kind of things will be done by the DBAs, guys. In the morning, we discussed one thing, right? If you go to Amazon, if you are clicking on any product, you're able to get the product information. How you are able to get the product information, guys? How you are able to get the product information? Sorry? How you are able
This
to get the
information
product?
is stored in database.
Right.
When we click on this, so it will get the data, whatever we need, exact same data.
How? See, if I click on this, I'll get this data. If I
So,
click on this, I'll get another data. How?
This front view,
Query execute.
yeah, there is some queries. It will execute.
What is
for
that query it is
specific-
executing?
One click, will be one select
Correct.
query.
See here, if you click here, there is a different query will be executed on the database. If you click here, one more query will be executed on the database. If you click here, another query. If you click here, another query. For every click, there is a meaning, guys. So for every click, one query will be executed on the database, on the backend database. For every click, one query is executing on the backend database, guys. Who will run those queries? Who will write those queries? That will be designed by your
Developers.
Developers will do that. So developers' goal is they are going to.
So one small confusion here.
Yes.
So developer are those who will be working in like MSBI. Are they only particularly working on MSBI?
No, not like that. Not like that. See, MSBI is a different thing, like Microsoft Business Intelligence Development Studio. So those are some tools like SSIS, SSRS,
Yeah.
Okay. So don't think no, it's wrong. Okay. Yes, they are going to use MSBI also, but again, so they are going to write lot of logics and all. Developers are going to write lot of logics. Everything, whatever you are able to see See, who will write these queries and all generally?
So my question is, from DBA side, do we have to also work on MSBI part?
No,
Is that
no,
mandatory? Is
no,
the
no.
DBA
It's
part?
not
No, right?
mandatory. It's not
Okay,
mandatory.
okay, okay. That's thanks.
It's good to have. Generally in the US side, they will ask you MSBI or else they'll ask you SSIS, SSRS knowledge and all. Generally US side, but India, like generally, we don't need much MSBI skills. MSBI is a separate course. At least 3 to 4 months it will take. Like you should learn integration services, reporting services, analysis services and all.
And I
But
think MSBI
don't need.
replaced by now Power BI, right?
Power BI, correct,
Same
correct.
thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Okay. So developers are different, guys. DBAs are different. So if you want to try as developer, you should learn complete SQL language. You should learn complete SQL language. It's a programming language. You should learn this programming. Scripts and all will be there. You have to write lines and lines of coding. Okay, so that will be taken care by the developers, guys. So DBA, Shanmugh, DBA needs developers knowledge, not required, not mandatory. It's good if you have some T-SQL knowledge. Okay, like creating tables, pulling the records, using where condition. Okay, so doing some alters. So these kind of basics and trying to understand the code, what this line will do, what this logic will do. It's good to have development knowledge for DBAs, but it's not mandatory. Why? Because if we have T-SQL knowledge, why will go for DBA side? We can simply try as developers only, right? Developers will earn like anything. 3 years developer will get 25 lakhs in India. 3 years developers will get 25 lakhs in India. So why we are not choosing development and all? Why? Because it's difficult. It's programming. Of course, people can learn. I'm not saying all programmers or developers are excellent. Okay, no. But yes, they are good in writing some lines of coding using Google and all. They are going to add the like they are going to extend their particular logics and all. Okay. But again, developers means you should need programming skills and all. But we are not going to DBAs don't need programming skills, guys. It's good to have, but it's not mandatory. Okay, so SQL DBA, again, it was divided into development, SQL development, and SQL DBA. If you have both the knowledge, like DBA and T-SQL knowledge, you will become an application DBA, guys. Okay, very application DBA. It's a kind of a hot cake in the market. Out of 100 people, hardly four, not 4, 5 also, 2, 3 people will be there like this. Application DBA is nothing but he is excellent in programming. He is excellent in DBA also, database administration also. Hardly out of 100, just 2, 3 people will be there. But hot cake in the market. If you have application like development knowledge and complete excellent knowledge in the development side and the DBA side also, your resume is like a hot cake in the market, guys. So again, we don't need development and all. Even I don't know the development. I'm not good in development and all. Okay, I can understand the logics. I can understand the particular programming language, the coding and all. But I don't know writing scripts and all. Okay, I'm a SQL DBA, pure SQL DBA, guys. You can tell like this only. Do you know? Do you have any knowledge on the development side? No, I'm a pure SQL DBA. I'll take care of DBA activities. Okay, so that's how it is going to work, guys. Any questions till now, please? Any questions?
How many queries will be there for a SQL DBA?
See, regularly, hardly 10 queries, hardly that 5 queries you'll use regularly. One DBCC SQL perf of log space. I'll tell you what is this and all. We'll use some select queries. Okay. We'll use like sys.sys processes. We'll use SP who is active. Hardly, guys, believe me, 5 queries you use regularly. 10, 15 queries you will use frequently. Now, I mean like not so regularly you are going to use, hardly 10, 15 queries. If you learn 10, 15 queries, that's more than enough for us. That's more than enough for us. The two simple queries like select queries, a single line query, select star from table name, okay, and select star from sys.sys processes, sp underscore who to, sp underscore who is active, select name, log, reuse, weight description from sys.databases. Like this, hardly 10, 15 queries are more than enough for DBS, guys. That's it. We don't use more than 15 queries.
Can we get the notes for these queries?
You will get it. You will get it, but I don't give a separate notes for everything. I'm going to discuss everything in our class. It depends. See, again, I'm saying as you're asking notes, the best suggestion you might ask, Shanmukh, you are saying practice for 3-4 hours daily. What we can practice for 3-4 hours? This is what you can practice. Write down whatever we are discussing. I can give 10-15 queries. See, I'm dedicating 2 months for this training. It's not difficult to write 10-15 queries in 10-15 minutes for me, but still I don't give. Why? You should spend some time in exploring the things, right? That is your homework. That is your assignment. Whatever queries we are using from beginning to ending, write it down in a separate notebook. The softwares, guys, if you want to become good, not only in SQL DB, if you want to become a good student, or if you want to become good in any technology, the best way is write down each and everything. Properly maintain the notes. Keep the softwares in separate folder. Keep the notes in separate folder. Whatever queries we are using, keep it in separate folder. Whatever interview questions we are using, keep it in a separate document. So this is what you have to do. This is meant by practice, guys. It's not like simply opening the recording file. Okay, so Shanmukh selected this option. I'll also select this option. Shanmukh click on this install button. I'll also click on this install button. Not like that. Shanmukh clicked on this option, so it gave this result. If I clicked on another option, what kind of output it will give? What kind of things we can see? What kind of errors we can get? Try to get the errors as much as you can. The same errors you will get in the organization also. Try to prepare your own error document, guys, error resolution document. That's how I learned, guys. So try to spend some time on documenting these things. Whatever things we are discussing, try to spend some time. Okay, on documenting all these things. Is Asrat added, guys? Asrat, let me check. Asrat is not there. Okay, fine. iPhone Pro 13 Pro Max. Who is that iPhone 13 Pro Max? Please let me know your name. I'm going to rename it. iPhone 13 Pro Max. Not sure whether this is the first class. In the morning we discussed don't join with the device names. I cannot understand who is joining and all. iPhone 13 Pro Max. Can you hear me? Just let me know your name. I'm going to rename it for you. Or else just type your name in the chat. I'll rename it. I guess he's not hearing us. Right. Okay. So today is the first class, right? So that's why I don't have issues, but tomorrow onwards, okay? So you should join with the name only. I don't allow joining with the device names and all. Why? Because don't know who is joining with the names and all. Right? So, yeah, try to document each and everything. Don't depends on me for everything, but I am going to give you every information, but you have to do some homework, okay, in documenting those things, guys. Right. Fine. So what we are discussing about the tables and all, right? So that is called your development, and also developer is different, DBA is different. So no need to have, it's not mandatory to have SQL development knowledge, but it's good to have development knowledge also. But try to learn it. It's not difficult, guys. You can learn it. No need to write lines and lines of coding, but at least you can try. Writing 5 lines of coding is also more than enough for us. For DBS, that's more than enough. Right. So now what we are going to discuss, guys, slowly let's discuss about the versions of SQL Server. Okay. So let's discuss the versions of SQL Server. So I'm going to open this. Okay, just a minute, guys. I'm opening one notes. Process. Right. Right. So let's discuss the versions of SQL Server, guys. So what is meant by version? Version is nothing but an updated software copy. Okay. Version is nothing but an updated software copy is called version, guys. I hope you all know the version. Okay. So, for example, now you are using iPhone 13 or 14, whatever it is. So, but initially we have iPhone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that. Till now it was like iPhone 14, right? In the same way, we have Android devices also. Android 4, Android 5.0, Android 6.0, Android 7.0. Like we have Android versions also there, right? And the best example, you are using laptops, right? In the laptops, we have Windows Server, Windows operating system, right? So Windows Home, Windows Vista, Windows Premium, Windows 7, Windows 8, Windows 8.1, Windows 10, Windows 11. These are all the versions, guys. Version is nothing but an updated software copy of a SQL server. Version is nothing but an updated software copy of a SQL server, guys. Okay. So if you compare the versions generally, in each version, generally they'll try to introduce new features, right? So if you compare iPhone 13, iPhone 14, definitely you can see some extra features, right? Might be the phone design will be different, or they might add some enhancements to the existing features. They might add some extra features and all. So like this, they are going to like this. Okay. Right. So like this, they are going to introduce some extra features. In the same way, we have versions in the SQL Server also. We have SQL Server 97 as discussed earlier. So initially, Microsoft introduced SQL Server 97 into the market, but it was not so famous, guys. Later, they just added a GUI interface, which is Query Analyzer from SQL Server 2000. So from this version, it gave life to the Microsoft almost. Why? Because by that time, okay, all the database softwares are like a complete command based only. So if you want to handle any database, you should know Linux, you should know lot of commands and all to handle the database. But what Microsoft did is it just added one tool called Query Analyzer. What is this Query Analyzer, guys? Query Analyzer is a tool. Using this tool, we can connect to the databases, we can run some queries, we can execute queries, and we can do some normal operations like reading tables, adding records. So using GUI, you can do that. Earlier, if you want to do the same, you should have some query language. You should have the knowledge of query language. But with the help of GUI, no need to have any query language. You can manually, like you can do by your own, guys, without having query also. I'll tell you what is this tool and all. Okay, it was converted into Management Studio later. Earlier we'll call it as a Query Analyzer, but it was changed to Management Studio, guys. So SQL Server 2000 is a big version for Microsoft. Then after 5 years, see, 2000 means it was introduced in the year of 2000. Then after 5 years, they invented SQL Server 2000. They introduced SQL Server 2005 after 5 years. After 3 years, they again introduced SQL Server 2008. And then in the same year, they introduced SQL Server 2008 R2, which is release 2. And then after 4 years, 2012 was introduced, then 2014, then 2016, then 2017, then 2019. The latest version is SQL Server 2022. Forget about these numbers, values. I'm going to take care of it. These are all called bill numbers. Bill numbers, which will help us to identify the version of the SQL Server. These numbers will help us to identify the version of the SQL Server, guys. These are all called bill numbers. Okay, this is the bill number and this is your compatibility. I'll tell you what is compatibility, what is bill number and all. As of now, these are the important versions, guys. You should know. You can forget about 97. You should know. Still people are using SQL Server 2000, even though it's almost 25 years. But still, people are using SQL Server 2000, guys. Still, people are using 2000. And 2005 we have in the market, 2008, 2008 R2, 2012, 14, 16, 17, 19, 22. So take a snap of this, guys. Thank you. 1 minute, just 1 minute. Right. Okay. So take a snap of this, guys. Tomorrow I'll ask you everyone. Tomorrow there will be a quiz initially. Okay. So I'll ask you the versions of SQL Server. These versions are very important, guys. Again, these versions should be on tip of your tongue. Very, very important. Very, very important, guys. Okay. Why? Because regularly we'll use with these versions only. In the interview also, they'll ask you this question on what versions you work till now. If you don't know what and all versions are there in the SQL Server, then there is no meaning of putting 5 years experience, 6 years experience and all, guys. These are very basics. You should learn all the versions of SQL Server. 2000, 2005, 8, 8R2, 12, 14, 16, 17, 19, 20, 22. And the latest version is SQL Server 2022, guys. Latest version is SQL Server 2022. Okay. So, yes, please. Yes, please.
So are we going to use the latest one?
Yes,
I
we are
believe
going
we
to
will be
use these
using
two. Yeah,
2020.
2019, 2022. Both we will use.
Okay.
Even though,
And I believe SQL Server 2000, 2008 is out of support. Even 16
I'll
is
tell
going
you.
to out of support.
I'll tell you. I'll tell you how the support and all will work. I'll tell you. So we'll discuss that as well. Yes. Tell me, someone is
So
asking.
why star mark in SQL Server 2000?
I'll tell you. I told you, right? Why I star marked the SQL Server 2000. SQL Server 2000. It's almost a leader by that time using the GUI. That's why it was star marked. Okay. So I can say, I told you, right? It was changed the whole database industry. Okay. So using this, because of SQL Server 2000 only, Microsoft became leader in the database industry, guys. Okay, why? Because if you have GUI, everyone can use it. If everyone can use it, they can easily manage the things and all, right? We don't, I told you, right, for this from 2000 onwards, we don't need programming to handle the databases. We have a tool. Using the tool, we can manage most of the things. So that's why when Microsoft introduced this SQL Server 2000 with a query analyzer tool, then again, it's just became leader of the database by that time. Okay. So that's why 2000 was like it's a game changer, guys. That's why. Okay, right. Any other questions, guys? Here? Any other questions? So this is one website called SQL Server Builds.blogspot. It's just a blogspot, not actually a website, but it's very famous. Okay, a blogspot for SQL servers, guys. Very useful also. So if you see here, if you go down here, you can see there are other versions also, 95, 90. You can see here the other versions also. Okay, so now if you see here, SQL Server 2000, if you see here, okay, there is a support date when it was release date, okay, support date and extended support date. So someone asked, Shanmukh, do we have support for this? Generally, if iPhone is releasing a new version, what iPhone will do generally, guys, it will stop supporting previous versions or older versions. What is meant by support, first of all? What is meant by support, guys? Tell me. What is meant by support?
So if anything happens or any service needs to provide it from the manufacturer, they can do that.
Correct.
Right? If any issue or anything, I mean bugs, fix
and all.
anything.
Very good, very good. Okay. So you bought one product, guys. Okay. You bought one product. There will be a service warranty, right? Warranty, guarantee, and all. Earlier we used to have guarantee, but nowadays no product is with guarantee. Okay. Warranty only you're getting. Some on-site warranty, off-site warranty, different warranty. So we have warranties. So in case if we have warranty on any product for 1 year, they are going to come, they are going to check it, they are going to fix it. In case if anything goes wrong, in case if the device is not working properly, they might can replace some of the components in the particular product up to 1 year. Depends upon the warranty period. If once warranty is gone, what you have to do? You have to pay money, right? To fix the, in case of any issues, you have to pay money. In the same way, we have support from SQL Server, Microsoft, guys. We have a support from Microsoft. What kind of support Microsoft will give? Of course, you're buying the license. It's not so cheap, guys. Can anyone guess what is the licensing cost of Microsoft SQL Server? What is the
It
license?
it is based
16
on
lakh.
the number of
About
license we
10K
are
to 12K
purchasing.
dollar.
Different plans are there. Core based licensing, cal based licensing, user cals and all. So depends. So normal software cost is in Indian rupees around 3.5 to 4 lakhs. One SQL Server instance cost. Right. So now what is the support generally it will give? And that too the support is not free, guys. You know how much you have to pay for support? If you have any issue with SQL Server, your DBA team is not able to solve that issue, you will generally contact Microsoft support. Okay. How do you know how much they are going to charge for that? $300 per hour. $300 per hour, guys, they are going to charge. Can you imagine 24,000? 24,000 per hour.
but there must be some, I mean, a free of cost service for some
No,
period, right?
no. You have to pay money only.
Always means
Yes,
once we bought the license,
correct,
and
correct,
right
correct,
after that we have to pay
correct.
whenever
Yes,
we require,
yes,
right?
yes.
Sir,
Ah,
if
okay.
if we are doing enterprise version,
Still you have to
then
see what they are. See, support date means I'll tell you. It's simple, I'll tell. 2018, there is a virus called ransomware. Anyone remember that name?
yes, sir.
Ransomware. So what it did? What it did? It's
It
almost
it was
locked
just a
40.
program that
Yes, it's almost locked 40% of the Windows machines across the globe. Very big virus file, guys. That is 40% of Windows machines are affected because of this virus. Okay. So what kind of support Microsoft will give you, know? They are going to keep on releasing the updates. Okay, in case suddenly if some virus attacks can happen, or else some bugs might be there. Bug and all, what is bug? I'll tell you, nothing to worry. So some bugs might be there. There will be a faulty behavior of the application. Okay, so some bugs might be there. Some don't know tomorrow which virus will come, next minute which virus will come. So in case of any virus attacks and all, in case of any security enhancements and all, in case of any bugs and all, only these kind of support it will provide you up to when. See here, SQL Server is introduced in the 2000. It gave support till 2008, means 8 years it gave support. And then you can pay extra money for the extended support, which is 5 more years, 2008 to 2013. Means up to 13 years, if you are using SQL Server 2000, they are going to help you with the bugs. They are going to help you with the issues and all. After this extended support, even though you are ready to pay $300, they can't help you out. Why? Because they stopped the support and they are not interested to continue with SQL Server 2000. They are insisting you to go to the latest versions. So that's why those kind of supports and all they don't provide. They don't provide any service pack updates. They don't provide any cumulative updates for virus attacks and all. They don't provide any kind of support in case of any issues and all. So that is called support date. Every version will have support date and extended support date, guys. Every version will have support date. And if you see here, 2000 support, extended support date is also completed. 2005 is also completed. 2008 is also completed. And 2008 R2 completed in 2019. And 2012 is completed last year. 2014 is completed. Support date is completed. Extended date is there till 2024. No need to remember all these dates, guys. No need to remember. Just I'm telling. 2016 support date is completed, but extended support date is there till 2026. So like this, you can see by that time. See now, even for 2017 is also it was completed. See, they gave only 5 years. They gave only 5 years. See, here also they gave only 5 years support date. And with extended date, they are giving 5 more years, which is 10 years there. Earlier, how much they gave? Okay, if you go with SQL Server 2000, they gave 8 plus 5, 13 years they gave. Later, they slowly decreased and all. They now came to 10 years, even though with extended support. See 2017 and see 2019. 19 was released in the year of 2000, right? Its extended support is also going to be ended by 2030. Hardly 11 years. So like
So,
this, yeah.
Shanmugh, how we can know that the current which is
Sorry,
under extended support?
how we
Suppose
can
we
know?
are using, suppose using 2016, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when it was launched, when we right? And as per the policy, it is for the end 2021, right?
Correct,
But
correct.
still we are using 2023. How we
Yes.
can organization has renewed, where we can find the information for the particular organization for
See,
this
this is like a kind of, see, it is again, it is coming from Microsoft official website only. In the Microsoft official website, these details and all will be there. When you buy the licensing, they'll clearly give all these details in that. Okay.
But to get the extended support, we need to reach out them, right?
Yes,
Or
we
will
have to
they
reach
be?
out. We have to reach out to
Yeah,
them. Yeah.
yeah. That's why I'm asking, if I am using 16 in my organization, how can I know that my organization already reached to the Microsoft to provide the support?
See, here it is clearly showing, right? It's not like when you are installing SQL Server 2000, even though you installed today, it will support till 2026 only, right? It's not like today install, from today to again 10 more years they are going to give support. Even though you installed on 2026 also, they are going to support till 2026 July 14th only. Up to then only they are going to give support. But again, you will have all these things will be noted down, guys, and they are going to follow the documents. In the documentation, everything will be written completely. All these guidelines and all will be there when you bought the software. Or else, if you need support, you can just check this website, or else Microsoft official website also. So now you came to know there is a support and extended support, right? So you'll Google it and you are going to get the Microsoft support itself. You can see in the Microsoft website itself. Okay. Is this clear?
Yeah, you can carry on.
Shanmugh,
Yeah.
I think probably question, is there any provision to change the database itself?
No, there is no provision. We cannot see in the database itself. We cannot see this information. This we can see under software guidelines only.
Okay, because my concern was if the support date is ended already and we are using the same version and without paying for extended support, how the person that our organization is using that they know, right?
See,
Or the
I
person
got
who is a DB.
I got your point. See, it's not like once the extended support is over, you have to uninstall SQL Server immediately. It's not like that. You can still
No,
use
but Microsoft will not be responsible. So how
yes, correct.
make sure?
Microsoft will
I
not
mean,
be responsible.
DBA can be make sure about that.
Correct. Microsoft is not responsible for that, even though you are using. So SQL Server 2000, I don't think you need to pay some money now. Why? Because it's not responsible. If something goes wrong, it cannot even recover the data also. It's not responsible now. So in the same way also, like even though it was extended support is over, but still you can use it. But Microsoft is not going to give you any support. It's not going to release any kind of updates and all. And again, one more thing here I just want to add. So generally in every company, every 1 year or 2 years, there will be an auditing from Microsoft itself. Direct auditing will be there. So that audit team will comes and they are going to check what and all softwares you are using, how many instances you are using, how much money you are paying, everything they are going to cross check. So these auditings will run continuously, guys. Those who are enrolled for Microsoft, they are going to, okay, automatically Microsoft will run some PowerShell scripts and all. They are going to check it, how many instances, what and all versions you are using, and the support date, extended support, everything will be checked in the auditing, guys. Audit team will check all these things. Okay, and they
Yes,
are
sir.
going
In bank sector, in every 3 months they check, sir.
yes, they are going to check. Auditing will be there. See, softwares, licensing, everything will be taken care by the auditing. Microsoft will keep checking all these things and all. So for 1 year or 2 years, they will check all these things. Okay. Right.
Okay, got it.
Yes. Fine. So this is your support date and extended support for the SQL servers, guys. And what we can do now, again, guys, take a snap of this. Okay, you can just take a snap of this. And tomorrow we have a quiz initially. Like I'll ask you the versions of SQL Server and all. So try to remember all the versions, guys. Okay. And let's take a break of 15 minutes. Come back at 8:45. We'll discuss about Windows Server versions. We'll discuss about this platform dependent, independent, everything we'll discuss, guys. So we'll try to cover some other points. Okay, so come back at 8:45, guys. So I'm giving you break for 15 minutes. You can come back after 15 minutes from now. Okay, so I'll be there, guys. I'll pause the recording. Okay, I'll pause the recording as of now, and later again we'll resume the. Yeah. Right. So these are all the SQL Server versions, guys. Okay, these are all the build numbers. So using these build numbers, we are able to identify the versions of the SQL Server, guys. Right. So then what are these versions, guys? What are these versions then? As SQL Server is an application, that is also an application only. That is also one software only. Generally, where we can install the softwares, guys? Where we can install any software? If I want to install any software, what I should have? What platform I should have?
Operating system.
Very nice. Operating system, OS. Okay. So what is OS, guys? OS is an interface between user
and software.
the machine. Okay. OS is an interface between the user and the machine. Okay. Operating system, when you buy a new laptop, you will get the laptop with operating systems. If you don't have operating systems, we cannot use that machine. That is like a person without life. Okay. So operating system is a kind of a life, guys. Okay. Operating system is a layer. Operating system is a layer. I want to store some data in my hard disk. How can we store the data? Who will help us to store the data? Who will help us to retrieve the data? Your operating system will do that, guys. So it will act as an interface between the user and the particular machine, guys. So as SQL Server is a software, if you want to install any software, you should have operating system. You should have operating system, guys. Operating system is very important. So we have different types of operating systems are there in the market. We have Windows operating systems. We have Linux operating systems. We have CentOS. We have Red Hat Linux. Like different Linux we have Mac OS. Okay, so we have different operating systems are there. We have DOS, disk operating system. Okay, so we have different operating systems are there in the market. Can we install SQL Server on all the operating systems, guys? Tell me, guess it, just guess it. Just guess it.
Not all.
No,
We can
O-
we can
only
go for,
on Windows.
Right, very good.
we
Okay.
can go for Linux also.
Yeah, so from 2019 onwards, we can do it on Linux as well. Okay, so we have SQL Server. These SQL Server versions where we can install, guys, if you want to install SQL servers up to SQL Server 2017, we can install SQL servers on any Windows operating systems. Okay, up to SQL Server 2017, SQL Server is a platform dependent. Up to SQL Server 2017, SQL Server is a platform. Platform means what, guys? OS. Platform dependent. Okay, that means what? That means it will depends on a single platform. Till then, till this version, from here to here, you should install SQL servers only on Windows operating systems. You cannot install in other operating systems like Linux and all. From 2019 onwards, you can install SQL servers on Windows operating systems as well as on Linux operating systems also. Okay, from 2019 onwards, we can install SQL Server on Windows and we can install SQL Server on Linux also. Only these two versions as of now you can install. But again, not Linux, even though this was introduced in 2019, which is 4 years back, still companies are not using SQL Server with Linux combination, guys. Hardly, not even 0.1% people are using in the organizations. SQL Server with Linux. So mostly SQL Server with Windows only will use. Okay. So this
right now there is nothing for sir IBM server.
IBM. No.
Yeah, AIX.
No, no. AIX, no. No. We don't have any SQL servers with AIX servers.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So generally SQL Server up to 2017, you can install SQL servers only on Windows operating systems. So we have two types of Windows operating systems again. One is desktop operating systems and second one is server operating systems, guys. So what is desktop operating systems? The OS that you are using currently, public, the OS that public is using currently, that is called your desktop operating systems, like Windows Home, Windows Vista, Windows Premium, Windows 7, 8, 8.1, Windows 10, Windows 11. Like these are all desktop operating systems, guys. Okay, these are all your desktop operating systems. Windows 7, 8, 8.1. Anyone knows about 8.1, guys? 10, 11. Okay, so 8.1 is not succeeded, guys, so that's why people are not using 8.1, but 8.1 is also there. After 8, people migrated to 10 directly. Right now people are started using 11 also. So these are the different Windows desktop versions. Like general public is using these desktop versions, guys. What is the difference between desktop and server versions, server operating systems?
Server is not for the public. It is only specific for the organization, not for
Correct.
the public users.
Yes. So servers will have much capacity, guys, when compared to desktop operating systems. Desktop hardly you can see, okay, as 4-core or 8 cores. Generally, every laptop or servers will have the main components of any machine is your CPU and RAM and storage, will also called as ROM. Okay, RAM will also called as memory. Okay, so every machine, whatever it is, every machine. So these are the main components, guys: CPU, RAM, and ROM. So I hope everyone knows the difference between CPU, RAM, and ROM. Guys, do you want me to explain what CPU will do, what RAM will do, what ROM will do? No problem.
Yes.
Don't hesitate. Okay, fine, no issues. So generally, CPU is a central processing unit. It is the brain of the system. It is going to process all those things, guys. It is going to process the things. Okay, so CPU is going to control the whole system, guys. It's going to control the system. It's going to process the information, whatever it is. It's going to process the things, process the tasks and all. Every task will be executed by CPU only. Every task will be executed by CPU only, guys. Okay, every task will be executed by CPU only. Now, if you see here, for example, now you want to calculate this one, guys. Okay, 4 plus 2, 3, okay, into 5 divided by 6 plus or minus 2. So generally, let me go like this, okay, 12. So if you want to calculate this one, generally who is going to calculate this, guys? Who is going to calculate this? So can we calculate the whole thing at a time? Is it possible for us? Tell me, guys. Can we calculate the whole? Just I'm giving a small example. Just to understand. Right.
We need to calculate based on the operator.
Correct. So how generally this will be processed, guys? Anyone tell me which operation will go first? Can anyone tell me? We have plus, into, divided by.
I don't know
minus.
exactly the priority, but I believe the highest priority will be for production. I mean the multiply. Then it will go for.
Anyone remember this BODMAS rule?
Yes, sir.
Multiply and
First will
subtraction.
divide. First will divide, then multiply.
So we have a rule called BODMAS, guys. Bracket of division, multiplication, addition, and subtraction. So even though like this, you cannot calculate like 4 plus 3 is equal to 7 into 12 by 6, not like that. Okay, not like that, guys. First, you have to complete the division. So 12 by 6, which is 2. Then you have to complete the multiplication, 3 into 2, which is 6. Then you have to complete the addition, 4 plus 6, which is 10. Then you have to complete the subtraction, 10 minus 2, which is 8. Okay, but if you calculate like this, 4 plus 3, 7 into 12 by 6 minus 2, you will get different answer. So there is a priority, guys. So now what you are going to do, guys, this 4 plus 3 will be calculated by your CPU. You will get a result, right? As per this BODMAS rule, division first. We don't have brackets, right? So bracket off, you can leave it. Division first. This 12 divided by 6, which is 2, you will get 2, right? So where this result, where that output will be stored temporarily? In the temporary memory called RAM. Right? Then 4 plus 3, 7, no, 2, right? 3 into 2, 6. This results also will be temporarily stored in the RAM. Until the execution is going to be completed, whatever output you are getting, that will be temporarily stored in the RAM, guys. Okay, now I am able to type lot of things. It was not saved actually. It's just an untitled document where it will be stored in the RAM. If I shut down my system, everything will be gone. Why? Because I haven't stored. If I saved this document is saved. Even if I restarted my laptop, I can still get the same data after restart also. Why? It was permanently stored. Permanent storage area is called your ROM, read-only memory. What is meant by ROM, guys? ROM is nothing but read-only memory. What is meant by RAM, guys? Random access memory. Okay, so whatever CPU is going to process, those results will be stored temporarily in the RAM. And if you want to store it, so this RAM, when you restart, whatever things are there in the RAM will be deleted completely, guys. Whatever things are running in the RAM will be deleted completely. For us, what is the use of the RAM for SQL DBA? Now you want to modify some table, or you are reading some table, select star from employee. The whole employee table will be loaded. The pages, actually table will be stored on the pages, guys. Imagine, I'll tell you what is page and all, internal things and all we'll discuss later. All the pages of employee table will be loaded inside the RAM. And from where we are going to get the data? From ROM, it will be loaded inside the RAM. Who will process? Your CPU will process, guys. Who will help us to move the pages between the RAM and ROM? Your CPU will take care of it. Very good. Right. Okay, so CPU is going to process your requests, guys. RAM will store the data temporarily until system is up and running. ROM is going to store the data permanently even though you shut down your system, guys. That's the responsibilities, that's the functionalities of each component. Is this clear, guys? Everyone? Someone asked about RAM, CPU and all. That's it. This is enough, guys. You don't need to this much is enough for us. Okay, fine. So
maybe we can discuss, sorry to interrupt. So maybe we can discuss later how much RAM and how many CPUs required for each and every, database server, right? Because randomly we cannot go for 8 CPUs, 8 GB RAM.
There is no such mechanism. There is no such mechanism. See, are you an Oracle Oracle DBA?
No.
No, okay. Salman, okay, got you.
Yeah,
See, it's not like
I worked on Oracle, but
correct,
I did not have experience in
correct. See,
Oracle.
it's not like for any database. You're asking like for every database how much RAM is needed. This will be designed by your architect. Okay, so how architect will decide? He will sit with the application. Application team will sit with the architect and they are going to design the frequency of the data, how much data, how frequently data is coming, how it is loading. Based on that, the RAM storage will be designed and finalized by the architect. Okay, so again, there will be no like how much RAM is needed. How can you say I'm using 1000 servers in each? Some servers are having 128 GB RAM, some servers are having 256 GB RAM, some servers are running with 64 GB RAM, some servers are running with a 32 GB RAM. So it's not like a specific to it. See, while installing the SQL server, we have this RAM configuration, memory configuration. Okay, so I'll tell you the performance tuning, I'll tell you how much memory we have to allocate for the whole server, not for the database. Okay.
No, suppose if the new configuration is coming up and they are saying we are having 10 database that will perform online transaction processing or OLTP environment, and they want to ask from the database side how much the CPU will be there for better performance.
That's what this will be designed by the architect, not DBS. Of course, DBS can be architect. In some organizations, if no architect is there, they will ask DBS only. But DBS cannot finalize the RAM, CPUs and all. That will be taken care by the architect only. They cannot finalize. They cannot finalize, and it's not a DBA activity. Again, I'm saying, if you are good in subject, very good, you're an expert after 10, 15 years, then you can, like 10 years or 15 years, you have seen lot of experiences, right? Okay, this system can manage with this much of RAM, this much of CPU, then you can decide. But not like a 3 years, 4 years or 5 years, guys, they cannot come to you, hey, how much RAM I needed, how much CPU I needed, how much temperature I needed. No, DBS can't finalize those values. Okay, so that will be discussed with the architect only, or else a senior with 10 plus years of experience can help on that. If there is no team, there is no such professionals in your team, they might depends on you, they might ask you, but you can straight away, in case, see, if you want, you can tell, but there is no perfect kind of an architecture. This much OLTP needs this much of RAM. Okay, so that depends. Generally, architect can just predict with the application team. They both sit together how data is coming, in how much frequency, when it is coming, generally at what times you'll get huge data. Okay, when huge modifications can occur, and all these things he'll keep in mind and he will design the systems. Okay.
Yeah, actually, I was relating something to cloud. Like in the cloud, we based on the load, it will automatically auto scale feature is
That
there,
is
right?
different. Auto scaling is different.
Yeah.
Auto
So
scaling is completely different.
yeah, so behind the scene, how they are working, how they are getting, means they will calculate the load, right? They will calculate the performance.
They don't calculate. They will give some threshold value. As per the threshold value, it will be auto scaled. Okay, but as per the threshold values, there will be some threshold value. If it reaches that particular threshold, then it will add one more CPU, then it will add extra
But
RAM.
but the thing is, threshold may be for a particular time, right?
That is
If the
that comes under different part, Salman. Okay,
okay,
completely
no issue.
different. Yeah, completely different. So
Sorry to bother you.
no problem, sir. No issues at all. But again, that comes under, again, it will go to like another picture. So people are going to confuse at this stage. Okay.
Sure.
Later, slowly we'll get into those things and not a problem. Right. Right. So we are discussing about this server operating systems, right? So difference between a desktop and server operating systems. Desktop generally will have, desktops are meant for the public usage only. Public means small requirements and all, like documents, whatever it is. Okay. So max to max, you don't see max resources like max RAM, max storage and all, like max CPUs and all, like normal, like 4 CPU, 4 core CPU or 8 core CPU, or 16 GB RAM max or 32 GB RAM max, you can see. Mostly max nowadays. Earlier it was 8 GB RAM only in the public. Nowadays it became 16 GB and again it became 32 GB. Okay, so hardly max to max. Desktop operating systems means max to max you can use 32 GB RAM, and I guess around 8 core or 16 core CPU only you can use. Not sure about the latest versions, but mostly I have seen till this configuration only. But in the organization, this 8 GB, 16 GB, 32 GB, those are small peanuts, guys. We are going to use 128 GB machines. We are going to use 256 GB machines. RAM, not saying about storage. RAM storage means you can see a big systems like 10 terabytes, 16 terabytes, 22 terabytes, 30 terabytes of systems for one server, not across the organization. One server, you are going to manage 20 terabytes of data, 30 terabytes of data also. Again, not everyone depends upon the project. So in the organizations, you will see a big configurations like 128 GB, 256 GB RAM machines and all. Why? Because you are going to come to see. Do you think Linux, I mean, sorry, not Linux, Amazon is running with a 32 GB or 64 GB RAM? No, right? Say, for example, NASA is there. Every second it is going to, like the satellites are going to rotate 24/7 by 365 days. And every time it is going to collect lot of data. Do you think 128 GB is enough for that? No. It's just a peanut to process the data. Lot of big machines will be there. It will have like supercomputers, we can say. They are going to process the data and all. Supercomputers means lot of RAM, lot of CPU cores, and lot of storage it needs, guys. So that's how it will be. So when compared to desktop operating systems, okay, RAMs are more efficient. Servers are more efficient, guys. When compared to desktop operating systems, your server operating systems are more efficient. Okay. I'm sorry. Your server operating systems are right. Your server operating systems are more efficient. So they are going to use more RAM. Why? Because servers are used to run for 24/7 by 365 days, guys. Your laptop, once your work is completed, now my class is complete, I will shut down the laptop. That's it. But again, tomorrow morning only I will start. Servers are not like that. Continuously it has to run. So it needs more resources, guys. So in the organization, we'll install SQL servers in the server operating systems. But again, the interface is same, guys. Like how you are handling a desktop operating system, server operating system is also same only. Like that only it will be there. But extra features like extra RAM, it will support, extra CPU, it will support, extra storage, it will support, guys. Okay. So in the organizations, we'll use server operating systems to install the SQL server. And the two up to SQL Server 2017, we'll use Windows Server operating systems. From 2019 onwards, we'll use Windows Server operating systems as well as Linux operating systems also. As of now, Linux is not so famous. Maybe in future it might be famous, guys. It might play a role, key role. Okay, chalo. So we have in the desktop operating systems, we have Windows 7, 8, 8.1. These are the versions, right? Windows 10, Windows 11 and all. In the same way, in the server operating systems also, we have versions, guys. Windows Server 2000. These are the versions of Windows servers. Windows Server 2003, Windows Server 2008, Windows Server 2008 R2, Windows Server 2012, Windows Server 2012 R2. R2 means release 2. Windows Server 2016, Windows Server 2019, and finally Windows Server 2022. The latest Windows Server version is Windows Server 2022, guys. Okay, so these are all the Windows Server versions. These are all your Windows Server versions, guys. You have to remember these Windows Server versions also. Why? Because you should know what SQL Server versions you can install on what Windows servers. So can you install all the SQL Server versions on all the Windows Server versions, guys? Is it possible?
No.
Guess it, guys. Can we install
No.
all
No.
the SQL Server versions on all the Windows Server versions? Is it possible? So the answer is no. Why? Because due to compatibility issues. Why? Because due to compatibility issues, guys. That is called compatibility issues. Okay. Compatibility. I'll give you a small example. Compatibility. What is meant by compatibility, guys? For example, the childhood we used to wear some clothes, right? Normally we'll wear some clothes. So can we use the same clothes now? The clothes that you used at 4 years or 5 years, can we use the same clothes? Can we wear the same clothes now also? Is it possible? Is it possible, guys?
Not
at all
not
possible.
for
Why? Because at 5 years or 6 years, your height is different, your measurements are different. Now, in future, you cannot guess how much height you will be. Whether you are a 5 feet or 6 feet or 6+ feet. Okay, we cannot guess it, right? In future, what is your height? We cannot guess it. What is your measurements? We cannot guess it. So while designing SQL Server 2000, they don't know, right? In future, Windows, Microsoft will release 2022, right? So they will just keep in mind like what and all the latest versions by that time, or what are the Windows Server versions are going to release. They'll keep in mind those versions only. They are not going to, okay, in the year of 2019, one Windows Server will be released. Okay, my SQL Server should be compatible with this particular Windows Server 2019. No, they cannot guess it. Hardly 2-3 years before only they will plan. For example, if Microsoft is releasing 2022 Windows Server, hardly they might plan from 2020 or 2021. That's it. Even Microsoft also don't know what kind of versions they're going to release in future. Right? Then those who release it to 2000, how come they can expect in future these are all the versions they will be released? So don't think like all the SQL Server versions can be installed on all the Windows Server versions. You cannot. That is called compatibility issue. That is called compatibility issue, guys. Okay. So on what Windows Server versions we can install what SQL Servers versions and all will be discussed in the next class. Okay. Means 2000 can be installed on what versions, on what Windows Server versions. 2005 can be installed on what Windows Server versions. So these things will be discussed tomorrow. Okay. There is a small shortcut. There is a small shortcut is there to identify easily. Why? Because if someone comes to you, hey, Salman, can you please install my SQL Server 2014 on Windows Server 2022? So you should know, right, whether SQL Server can be installed. SQL Server 2014 can be installed on Windows Server 2022. Whether it is possible or not, you should know first. Without knowing, okay, no problem, I'm going to take care of it. I'll install and I'll update you. Okay, so you cannot give promise like that. Later, after finding, no, this is not possible. I didn't check this one. So it shouldn't be like that in the organization. You should be very confidently saying, okay, we can install this on this. We can't install this on this. You should be able to tell this, guys, to the customers, to the users. Okay, so that's why this is very important. So you should know SQL Server versions, one thing. You should know Windows Server versions also. And you should also know, I'm sorry, guys. You should also know, you should also know on what Windows Server versions we can install the SQL servers and all. Okay, so this will be discussed tomorrow morning session, guys, and we will discuss about CTP, RC, RTM, and then we'll discuss bill number format. What is bill number? How to identify the version? How to identify the version using bill numbers and all. So this will be discussed, and slowly we'll start with the additions, and we'll start with the features and all. So tomorrow we'll discuss all these things, and the next class will plan for the virtual machine. We'll create a VM, and then we'll install operating system, and then we'll go with the SQL Server installations, guys. So any questions till now?
Shanmugh, what is this platform independent, as you said before break? We'll discuss.
See, platform independent is nothing but up to SQL Server 2017, SQL Server is depending on Windows platforms, right? I told you, right? Up to 2017. From 2019 onwards, you can install SQL Server 2019 and 2022 on Windows as well as Linux also. But 2017, up to 2017, you should use only Windows operating systems. So it is depending on the platform. From 2019 onwards, it's not depending on the platform. You can either use Windows or you can use Linux. So it is platform independent.
Thank
you. Yeah, no problem. Any other questions, guys? Okay. Guys, any questions?
Regarding versions, who will decide?
Right,
Hello?
regarding, yes, got you. See, generally, yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Generally, in the organization, we will have standards, guys, okay? If application team is having any specific requirements, like if application is designed with any specific requirements, then application team will decide the version of SQL Server, what version they need. But as per our DBA standards, if they are asking us to install a SQL Server, we will always install the latest version of SQL Server. But if application team is specifying we need this version only, my application will support till this version only, in that case, we have to listen their words and we have to install as per their requirement. We are working for the application people, guys. If they don't have any specific requirements, then we'll always choose the latest version of SQL Server only. Okay, Sharon?
Yeah.
Sir, can we install SQL Server 2019 in Windows Server 2019?
Of course. Tomorrow we'll discuss these things. How to identify
Uh,
whether we can do it or not. Tomorrow I'll give you one formula. As per that formula, we'll decide whether we can install 2019 SQL Server on 2019 Windows Server or not. Okay? Yeah, tomorrow we'll
I
discuss.
have one question,
Yes.
but I'm not sure if this session is good
Yes,
to
yes,
ask.
no
or not.
problem.
It's about this high availability, always on, and this mirroring, lock shipping. So, which one is the most important from interview perspective?
Always on, always.
So, I mean, this the old technologies are not. I mean, nowadays not using like lock shipping,
It's
mirroring.
not like that, Salman. See, now, I am handling around 7,500 servers, a very big environment.
Oh, great. Yeah.
7,500 servers, we have all versions. We are still using SQL Server 2000. Still we are using. Still we are using 2005. Still we are using 8 R2. Some products are running with the 2005. Why? Because their application is not generating any revenue. Why don't they are going to spend money? Why they are going to spend money to upgrade their systems? Right? So we are managing 7,500 servers. So in that case, generally, some servers are set up with always on, some servers are set up with log shipping, some servers are set up with mirroring, some servers are with replication, some servers are with clustering. So it's not like people completely avoided all the other solutions after always on. Still people are using in the organizations. So majorly you will get it from always on, but again they are going to touch all 5 high availabilities in the interviews.
Okay. As a DBA, we must know.
Yes, you should know. Yeah.
Okay, fine. Thanks.
Yeah. Any other questions, guys? Any other questions, please? Okay, just a minute. Okay, people are already dropped. Okay. No problem. So just 1 minute, guys. Please don't drop. You have to fill this form. Just 1 minute. Just fill this form. It won't take much time. Okay. I still in the morning 35 people attended. Only 13 people fill that form, guys. Not sure whether you don't want recording files, something like that. Send. Sorry, shorten URL. Copy this URL. I am going to paste it in the Zoom chat. Please fill this, and I'm going to meeting group chat. I'm just posting this in the forms. Okay, just fill this form, guys. Complete this form. Okay, I need your email ID and all to send the recording. So it's very important for me. Okay, just fill this form, guys. Fill this form, and that's it for today. And tomorrow morning we'll connect, and we are going to discuss about the bill numbers, compatibility levels. Okay, and what is there? Yeah, components, editions of SQL servers. We'll discuss all these things in the next class, guys. As of now, that's it for today, guys. Any questions, anything you can ask. Otherwise, please fill that form and then you can drop. If you already filled, you can drop, guys. Nothing is there to discuss as of now. We have covered. Okay. Done, guys. Okay, we'll connect tomorrow morning. Please fill that form. Huh? Please, it's very important. Sorry.
What we need to mention under comments?
Anything, any suggestions, anything you want to
Okay.
include? Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, no, it was filled. Hello.
Yes.
Yeah, no, it was done from me.
Yeah. That's fine. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Fine. Bye, guys. I hope you have my number right. Motion, Siddiqui? Motion, can you hear me?
Yeah, Shanmugh. Yeah,
Do you have my
I'm
number?
just uploading it.
Do you
Yes,
have my
yes.
number? Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, I do have your number.
Okay, Vibhuti, Chandu. Okay, that's fine, Moshi. And Muhammad, I guess.
Sharma, this is Mohammed. I have uploaded that, and I have a question that is, when we can get that, I mean, recordings by tonight?
Yeah. Actually, I should upload immediately, guys. But again, this weekend as my daughter's birthday, so I went for shopping and all. So these two recordings will be available by tomorrow. Okay. So only this weekend the recordings might be some delay, but next weekend onwards, once the class is completed, within 3-4 hours, the sessions will be uploaded. Okay. Yeah, these two classes will be available by tomorrow. Ramya, do you have my number, Ramya? And Venkat Sri Gopi Krishna.
Yes, Sharma.
Okay, done. If you have my number, okay, no problem. Venkat Sri Gopi Krishna, do you have my number?
No, sir.
You don't have my number?
No.
Okay. So you can just, have you filled that form, contact form?
Morning I will fill.
You will fill or morning you already filled?
Morning I am filled.
Filled, okay, that's fine. Yeah, no
Can
problem. I'll contact you, no issue.
Okay. Can I leave?
Yeah, you can, no problem. Guys, if you already filled, you can leave, guys, no issue.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, sir. Hello.
Yes, please.
Actually, I do have a question.
Yes, please, Mohan.
Regarding the certification.
Okay.
Will you be providing the certification after the trade?
See, certification means you're expecting.
And are there any criteria?
Yeah, that's what. See, certification means are you expecting any certificate from SOSE University or you're asking about Microsoft certification?
No, from SOSE University
See,
certification.
generally, how the
Are you
things
providing?
Yeah, I'll explain how the things will be. Generally, you are going to try with 3 years or 4 years or 5 years experience DBA, right? Right? So, what is the meaning of giving a certificate in 2023 and you are claiming that you have 3 years of experience or 4 years of experience? No meaning, right? So, generally, no institute will give certificate, but even though they are giving certificates, there is no use of such certificates, guys. Just simply you can keep it in your wardrobe or just in the file. Why? Because you are putting 3 years of fake experience and 5 years of fake experience. How the certificate will be used? You are not going to try as a fresher, right? So there is no use of the certification. Institute given certificates, there is no use. Not only SOSE University, from any institute, there is no use. They don't see your institute given certificates. Only value is there for Microsoft certification and your board, university boards will be there, right? Only for those certifications. Institute, they don't even see also, even though you put in your file, they don't even see. Okay, so there is no use as of now. That is the first thing. And I'm not going to provide any institute related certificate. Okay, if you need, I can help you with the Microsoft certification.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mohsin. Okay, so guys, if you already filled, you can leave, guys. You can leave. No issues. Nothing is there to discuss. Okay, that's it for today. Thank you all.
Thank you, Sharma.
Thank you.